every corner I can see that.
Hi, this is Aaron at Popaholic, and I am talking to the legendary MikePeters of TheAlarm, straight from the UK. He is planning on a new concert tour in support of his new album, Forwards, that's coming out this month. So, Mike, I just have to tell you, you are an inspiration based on what you've been going through, and also how well you sound. Forwards is a great tune. Is that the name of the album? Is Forwards or Forward?
It's Forwards, and
Forwards.
it's really about where I aspired to when I was very ill last year, and I was in hospital for a long time. In fact, the album title came when I was on a ward with lots of other patients in the cancer centre, and there was a gentleman, not looking too dissimilar to your good self, hovering around at the end of my bed, and he said that, "It's MikePeters, isn't it?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "The Alarm." Yeah. He goes, I know it. I says, "My father's just down the corridor." And I was on the chat lines and the forums of the Alarm fans last night. I'm sure MikePeters is here in the cancer centre. And I thought, oh no, it's out. So I had to write to all the fans just to reassure them and just let them in on what was happening, just so they didn't get too concerned about all the speculation. And I signed off the email as Forwards. And I thought, oh, that's an album title right there. And then the song was born almost immediately.
Perfect. Well, you have gone through this struggle of cancer and leukemia, and you've powered through it. I read in a recent interview that you basically brought your guitar into the hospital to write some of this music. Also, I wanted to tell you your voice sounds great. I don't know what you're doing. You and Tom Jones you both have great voices at your age. Do you do anything to keep the voice sounding so good after all these years?
Well, I've always looked after it on the road and maintained a healthy lifestyle and protected my voice whenever I can. And I use honey and lemon just to gargle before and while I'm on stage, just to keep it lubricated, oiled up. Don't over drink or anything like that. Especially when I'm on tour, I try and protect my voice and cut the partying out, or at least keep it to a minimum. And
right.
So I've always been. In fact, the new cancer drugs I'm on now seem to have benefited my voice. When I got to sing the album, I found I was hitting the notes with a lot of less energy than I needed to in the previous years. I think right now my blood count is the best it's ever been for 30 odd years. It's as normal as can be. And I can feel it when I'm singing. I was singing Strength the other week in Cardiff for the big show, St. David's Hall. I was hitting the "Give Me Love" notes with effortless. It was amazing. I'm thinking, wow, this is great. Yeah. So I feel like I'm back in good, strong position to keep moving forward.
Awesome. And I really, I came to know The Alarm. I loved the song 68 Guns and The Stand when you were starting out. And you toured with U2 for many years. And, have you learned what have you learned from Bono and the band in touring with them for so long? What do you think you picked up along the way?
Well, the first thing was that when the show was over, the focus was on the next night. It wasn't like, let's take advantage of tonight and bask in the glory of a great show. They would make sure they were just as focused for the next show, wherever that may be, and to whatever kind of size audience that was. I mean, that first tour we did with U2 in '83 on the War Tour, it was a real eye-opener because they were playing events like San Francisco was our first night, and there was 8,000 people there in the Civic Center. And then the night after Red Rocks, which was an amazing event, but it was we played in Wichita, and I think there was about 200 people there. But U2 still gave it everything they had. We played in Salt Lake City, 500 people, and then New York we played on the pier, and we played in Boston, up near Boston in the Worcester Centrum in an arena. One of U2's first arena shows, that and the Sports Arena in LA, and they gave it everything they had, no matter what the size of the audience was. They went out there and they were serious about it, and that's what the main thing we learned really was to stay focused on the next night and keep keep the band real, as real as it could be, and make sure people got the same show night after night. We didn't go on stage because we got drunk the night before and we could only just stagger on the stage. We never aspired to that kind of rock and roll lifestyle. We lived for the concert and get on stage. And there's some a lot of musicians say it's we get paid for the traveling, but we go on stage for free.
That's a great sentiment, and it's a great story. I really like Forward's, from what I've heard so far, the song Whatever and Next. Very personal songs for you, I feel. More personal than the previous album, Omega, which was really more, I believe, a political, call to arms. This one is a lot more personal. Is the other songs on the album of similar nature?
Yeah, it was, well, a lot of it was written in a very challenging moment in my life. I was in hospital suffering from pneumonia and leukemia, and I had my guitar brought into the hospital. And yeah, a lot of the songs came while I was strumming, just really to keep my fingers going in the hospital. But the other patients and the staff were quite encouraging me to play. They said, "Don't play quiet on our behalf, keep going." And then, boy, you knew it, new music was arriving. So I had to write it down on my phone, and the record's very immediate. It was recorded as soon as I got out of hospital, and finished very quickly. And released it almost in the moment. The album Amiga that you refer to, that was a lockdown album. We made it by a file share, and it was recorded and released, written, recorded and released in 50 days. And it was inspired by the Capitol building being occupied. I thought that was the last straw in the lockdown.
Right.
We were all in our homes, and we started to see the energy turn, community against community, human being against humans. People were venting their anger on the internet at other people, and it just seemed to become very negative. So we thought, let's make an album that documents this era in our lives. But I knew it had to be made in 50 days while we were all still in lockdown. And we carried a lot of that, the learning that we gained and the experience we gained from that. We took that into Forward, so we were able to record the album really quickly and keep the energy intact in the original demos and ideas.
Wow, that's amazing. So didn't you have weakness with the chemotherapy and any other radiation that you were enduring? I mean, did you have to basically space out when you were playing in the hospital and say, I have energy to do it this day, but I don't have energy to do it yesterday?
I wasn't having I was physically impaired by cancer treatments. It's all blood cancers with me, so it's all for 8 days with a drain. I had to get 5 litres of blood. My lungs had filled up with blood, and they had to be drained. And that was an intense period. But when I was given time out from the IV sessions, I just played my guitar as much as I could just to keep going. And or at night when I was released from the IV, I would walk the corridors just to keep my muscle strength intact. And that's when a lot of the ideas for the songs came while I was walking along in the silence of the hospital. There was still a lot of pandemic protocols in place. So it was a strange time. But when you're in hospital as well, and you've got a guitar, I felt like I'd sort of stumbled into a gold mine of music that no one had been in before. And I just think keep grabbing these gems out of the atmosphere before anyone else could steal them all. And then the machines that are keeping people alive, the beats, toot, 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 and the heart monitors, they became like your drum beat, and you'd write the songs to that. And
that's amazing.
It was an interesting time to say that.
Is that what kept your optimism going? The fact that you recognized that you were coming up with some great songs here and you wanted to capture them, and then you said, oh God, I gotta keep this momentum going. Is that what fueled some of the optimism while you were there?
So, yeah, without doubt, yeah, because look, in the hospital, it's sad to say, but we live in such litigious times that the doctors and nurses, they can't give you any hope, that they can only give you facts. Right. And because if they give you hope and it doesn't work out, then people can turn that against them. So they're very guarded in what they say. So a lot of the time in hospital, you have to generate your own optimism. So, I'd go on Dr. Google, as we all called it, on the ward, and start searching the symptoms of why is the doctor sending me for a CT scan today, and realizing the scale of the situation I was involved in. And so I had to generate my own hope. And I did that through writing music and projecting myself out of the situation. And all I wanted to do was get home and get beyond the hospital corridors. And I knew if I got out, it meant I was going to be alive. And if I didn't get through those corridors, I knew the opposite was going to happen. So I had to make sure I came on top and lived to tell the tale.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know you're coming to New York this month, and you're playing at the Gramercy Theater in New York. And I have to say, your sound has been magnificently consistent over the past 30 odd years, 40 years. It's just amazing how consistent and reliable you've been as an artist over the years. You didn't fall into the fads like your fellow tour mates you two fell into during the 90s and the early 2000s. You've been consistent, and I think that's been a strength of the band, of The Alarm, and I appreciate that, and I know your fans appreciate that as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, and is there? I'm trying to think as far as the touring. So you have you're coming obviously to the States. What else is planned for your tours?
Yeah, I've got a UK tour coming up during this month when I get back from coming to New York for a promo trip and going to LA and going out to California, and then when I come back, I hit the boards in the UK, and it's an acoustic tour first and foremost. But I really wanted to make sure I had the strength of immune system and the strength of body to see out a tour, and then we can start looking at alarm dates and start looking at a lot now. Meeting with our New York agent this coming week. I had some good news from the hospital. I've been able to eradicate one of the hospital treatments from my plan, so I only have to have one treatment a month and daily chemotherapy. So that's opened up a bigger window for me to get across to the USA. So I'll hopefully be able to plan some dates, possibly later in the year or certainly next year as well. And it's definitely not seen the last of Mike Peters and The Alarm in America. That's for sure.
Well, that's great. We wish you the best, Mike Peters. I appreciate your time. Can't wait to see you come to the States, come to New York, and we want everyone to look for the album Forwards on their streaming, as well as when it's finally released out into the wild of
June the 16th. It's coming out June the 16th. On the Friday before the New York shows.
All right. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate the time. And this is Popaholic signing off with Mike Peters.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good day. Man United won 2-0. Come on, you Reds. Thank you.